And that will be really the key to this game. Can Impunity consistently find flanks or just gain advantages in these side lanes and snowball? Or will SEM9 get enough gold to get this Gwen and Hecarim ahead? Because I think these two champions will be key to their success.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our starting runes here, of course. On the side of SEM9 as well. Some phase rushes coming in. The Aerie on the Xayah. You know, Xayah Rakan, classic combination, but we haven't seen a whole ton of it. I was kind of expecting a Sivir to come in, like we saw earlier in the North American League today in LCS. That was a composition that did work out with a very strong Hecarim pick, but this is a little bit different. We'll see if Klax and Philia can survive this bottom side, because Blaze and Pinway have looked good in their combination so far.
Blaze, of course, the highlight member of last year's roster, the only person to come and make a return, although, you know, they still have Krelix in as the support, now a sub, as Pinway has stepped forward to take the starting role. And it looks like we're going to have bot side starts here for both sides, wanting to finish up top lane, to be expected, of course, for a Tryndamere, as you do want to, again, make sure he gets level 6. But at the same time, Shiromine on this Gwen pick, it's going to be a really much better chance for him to pop off than when he had that Graves in the previous game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, starting off, getting a little poke onto Pinway down bottom side. He can shrug that off pretty easily as the Nautilus. And because they leashed, of course, you know, not able to get to the farm quite as fast. And now the question is, how safely can they get it back with that rocket poke? It's a bit of a double-edged sword with Jinx, right? Like, you can rocket poke all day, but then if you run out of mana, you could be in trouble. So it is always a careful dance. Blaze certainly knows how to handle this champion.
And in this top side, just a little bit of trades. We'll see how well Shiro does in this a bit of a rematch against the Tryndamere. Of course, different player piloting the champion, but he did struggle mightily in that first game as the Graves, and this is a much different matchup. Better chance for Gwen to make plays, but more importantly, has a lot more impact when it comes to team fights.
Speaking of repeat matchups, too, well, I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, never mind, that's it. Obviously, Lazar playing the same matchup against another Ahri, but also, by the same token, Faith, a very different player than Minji.
Yeah, very much so. We'll see how well he performs, as, I mean, already, Lazar having a better time because he's not getting bullied out from the wave. In fact, he has a bit of a CS lead. 6 CS, that's a full wave. Of course, the wave is crashing into Faith, but Lazar, much different story than game number 1, where he was just struggling mightily. This time around, he actually he doesn't go ahead and go for the recall. I thought he would just go ahead, cheater, and recall, come back with boots and refill all of his potions to continue laning, but that won't be the case here, as he's going to hold on, and Taco making an early visit.
Yeah, level 4, you don't expect the Hecarim to try and match pressure, and they are falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker, but a couple of flashes, and they are out to try and turn it right onto Pinway again. I don't know if Philia wants to go any farther than that. They are going to bring Caspiel for defense. Had to burn a summoner for that, and both supports did, in fact. I'd say that's, well, support and an AD carry. That's definitely going to favor Impunity just a little bit.
I really like the trade coming in, and seeing in this top lane, like, Shiromine could, with this Ghost, force the exchange of summoners, really, because he did go for the recall. He did come back with a lot more stats, of course, getting that additional item along with the refillable. He has a lot of stats to play around with here. I would have liked for him to be a lot more in your face against Quiet, because again, the Tryndamere doesn't have the teleport, so can't have those same sort of recalls. Really has to play off of wave position in that matchup.
Yeah, a bit of a roam here. That was actually just warding coverage. You can see SEM9 trying to go a little bit deep and head off any gank attempts from Taco. Still on level 5, though. No death mark available just yet. Felia waiting in the wings to try and bait a gank out of Faith, but it's also not the easiest thing to do. It does seem like SEM9 are a little antsy to make something happen. Obviously, once Caspiel hits 6, that's the go button. But we'll have to see. Actually, that ward down on the Krug camp does mean that Shiro has perfect information of the jungle position. Quiet could be in trouble.
Before 6.
I don't think you'd expect this. They've also brought Philly to the party. And let's see if he burns those summoners. No, he does not. Exhaust on for an easy first blood. Doesn't get more clinical than that.
Yeah, very, very easy first blood there. So a great start for SEM9 this time around. And more importantly, you just dumped an entire 2 waves to that tower that Quiet will miss out. However, ClayX...
a little bit of poke, no follow through. Yeah, I mean, again, Xayah is a fairly slippery champion, but I feel like picking this is kind of just saying, look, we're not going to win this lane. We're going to be trying to go for those fights, and we're going to have a lot more impact consistently if we don't have the same level of pop-off, excuse me.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, of course, we do see the Airy, which means that you are going to go for the lethality build, as we see the Dirk in the inventory at the moment. So that's going to be the decision coming in from ClayX. And also have to bring to attention that there were 3 players that went cookies and biscuits for their rune choices and have yet to use any of them. So that's a lot of gold. Or
same thing, by the way, Nightstar. Cookies and biscuits. Just depends on what side of the Atlantic you're on.
That is true. And,
as someone who's lived on both.
The big thing with this rune choice is if you don't use them in lane in the early phases of the lane phase, they fall out of relevancy very, very quickly. And you're much better off taking a futures market, which scales incredibly well in this instance. But now it's going to be a play made towards the red buff. It does look like Caspiel will go ahead and concede it and trying to help out his bot lane by hanging around. He could get caught though.
That's the charm, but he's got Onslaught of Shadows, and he needs to use it defensively to try and get out. The Death Mark is on, and Taco is going to claim his life. Filia will fall, and ClayX is down with no help coming here as he goes for the Feather Storm. However, he has pushed Impunity off. Still 2 kills unanswered, and he is a sitting duck. No flash.
Yep. Oh, sitting duck, he's going to go quack. Can he hit level 6 on this? Yes, he does, but...
feed it right into Blaze. Oh, that's going to be plates, too. Oh, Impunity, that was a beautiful setup, and Caspiel, he knew that was coming.
He knew it was coming. Looks like he didn't expect Faith, though, and yeah, I guess he wasn't expecting the burst damage coming in, but you are up against essentially 2 double assassins, so... I'm personally not very surprised by the damage.
I feel like you should expect it.
Yeah.
And ClayX knows he's dead. He's just trying to get a return kill here.
He almost has an opportunity to try and trade 1-for-1 because he hits level 6, but unfortunately he isn't able to skill up his ultimate in time. As, yeah, you see it right there. He only gets a fraction of a second to try and skill up and use the ability right away, and unfortunately unable to do so. If he was able to, maybe he trades 1-for-1, but at the same time, maybe he doesn't, and he just loses a key cooldown where now he'll just get dove again.
Yeah, also, look at where the kills landed right there. I mean, at the moment, Impunity have 3, and one of them each on all the big damage threats. Obviously, Quiet on this Tryndamere, I mean, he can get his own kills, it's fine. But, like, Taco's got one on the Zed that he earned down there. Faith had one from earlier, and Blaze picked up that other one that was spoon-fed. This is exactly what you want on the Impunity side. And they're going to do it again! Can you believe it? Oh dear, no summoners still on the bottom side. They're actually going to try and for a second sack Filia, but he was able to battle dance back. Nicely done. That's why you want the Lovers duo, because you get that extended range.
That's really nice execution coming in from that bot lane of SEM9. So, you know, ClayX holds on to that ultimate and pays off in that particular instance. And he still has flash available for that next gank, which is going to be a lot better results than before in this top lane. Shiromine also having a much better result in the lane phase than before, as instead of a deficit, he is in the lead when it comes to CS. Of course, once Quiet does get that first item completed, he will have the 1v1 advantage, but for now, short trades do favor Shiromine. It really just comes down to this all-in.
Oh, Ghost is already on. He wants to get the kill. Unfortunately, there's plenty of time to buy. And with Taco there, Quiet will get the kill. Oh, no, man. Give this man an Oscar. He baited it well.
Did very, very well in that instance and nets himself a kill. Fortunately for Shiro, we'll have teleport, and Caspia will also be able to eat up the CS. So as it stands, 10 minutes into the game, we haven't had any focus onto the dragon, or not big focus onto the dragon. I mean, we have seen the first one go down, but it's not at like the 6-minute mark, which we've had, which I would say is kind of where you want to see that dragon come down when it comes to a lot of these dragon-focused teams. And we'll see where Caspiel decides to toss down this Rift Turtle. I think that's the next big play to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. The team's kind of shaking hands just a little bit on the objective, but it feels like they want to set up a play somewhere on the map before they drop it so they can get the full charge. They are running a little bit low on time to try and pick the plates up, but it seems like top side is the way to go. There's still a flash on Quiet. He will seed this one as the wave crashes. And I think they might just go ahead and open up Shelly. They're actually bringing Lazar here to the party to try and convince him. No, they're just going to go ahead and go for the attack. It's going to be a dive, if anything, but Quiet, he's got to know something's up.
I think they just want to take away 2 plates right here and then go ahead, start it up.
There's the Feather Storm.
Rift.
Oh, meanwhile, the flash. Oh, what about the Blaze? Good dodge. Can he get this 1v2? Clax, he almost does 1v3 even. Oh, it's just not fair. Lazar will get revenge at least on one. But, oh, man, if you're Clax, it's just so close.
Oh, that was pretty flashy, though. And now they, of course, do get the execute onto that first tower and get a charge onto the second tower up top side. Really nice play coming in from SEM9 to at least be able to trade pretty effectively for the side of Impunity. That dive attempt, of course, really kind of forced their hand because of the fact that they saw the jungler up top side with that Rift Herald, and they felt compelled to try and make a trade immediately. And Clayex just plays it very, very well. Waits for the ult to come out from Nautilus, uses the ult himself to counter, and when he goes for the Feather Rip, flashes right onto Blaze to make sure he gets the CC. Unfortunately, because the tower is focusing on Pinway, the tower isn't there to help him out finishing that kill onto Blaze.
It does force Blaze to use both of his summoners just to get away, though, after the heal and the flash into the bush. So I feel like if you're Clayex, like, sure, it sucks not to get the kill, but that's not so bad. You can come back and do it again. Gold game actually just about even, by the way, with all things said and done. First tower, of course, and the inner turret being charged down by a second Shelly. That's pretty nice there for SEM9. This is already looking like a lot better game. Of course, at this point, the game kind of felt like it was getting close to over last time around. But SEM9 have definitely come alive in this one. I want to see what else they can do. Dragon may be contested here. It is a Hextech Drake. And SEM9 are muscling in, but will they be able to get there in time? I think Taco can just, finish the job. A little slow to react.
And Taco has gone for the Stradbreaker, which is a item that has been coming back in popularity. Gives you a little bit of the extra burst damage and really locks a target down as well. Makes it hard for them to escape. And I mean, when it comes to these win conditions, right, for SEM9, it was about really the top in jungler. With the Gwen and the Hecarim, they've been, well, the Gwen's been doing relatively well. And the Hecarim's been there. He hasn't necessarily been popping off per se, but it does feel like when it comes to styles, Caspiel, it feels like he's more there to support the lanes rather than force plays. And perhaps with Lazar's tendency to kind of just sit back, maybe that's why SEM9 went for this jungle change rather than have Arashi constantly looking for these invades, constantly looking to flip. And it feels like his mid laner wasn't quite always there to support these kinds of plays.
Yeah, sometimes if you have a stylistic clash, you've got to make a change, even if on the surface it looks like one jungler is playing a little bit better than the other. Caspiel definitely playing a more supporting role on the Hecarim. I feel like if you can get a good counter engage, the Onslaught of Shadows can be massive as to try and, like, you know, dissuade the likes of Taco or Faith from coming in, or maybe even Quiet. And of course, an uncontested Herald. However, they do end up trading for the finishing hour at the tower, and they're messing around the mid lane. And they're just going to go ahead and instantly drop this, but I don't know if this is going to be enough to finish Tower of Blaze here. He might have to back off. Actually, Caspiel winning the wings. Pinway's there
collapse.
too. Danger
They're
to collapse.
collapsing.
Now we've got the teleport
They're
coming
everywhere.
through. Shelly will get the charge. Here comes the big rocket, and Faith over the wall, and this could be huge right now. Health bars are starting to melt, and Quiet will open up the casualties.
Oh,
by
look at
taking
you!
down Philia, and then Caspiel. Clayx falls as well, and it's absolute disaster as Shiro tries to get something back. He grabs Blaze, but it is just not going to be enough. Lazar will fall to Quiet too, and it is almost a wipe.
Shiro shows up to the show late, and unfortunately, SEM9, they fall victim to that multi-directional flank once more. Impunity coming in from all directions. This is what happens when you push up a little bit too excessively and don't wipe out the wards. There was just a lane ward right there, right behind them, and that means the cavalry arrives, and look, they're surrounded from all sides. Clayx, he has to use the ultimate early on in the fight, which is not good for his chances of surviving, and you really need the Gwen to show up sooner rather than later when it comes to these fight setups, because you know your backline isn't going to survive very long against this dive, and you need the extra pressure coming in from Hecarim and Gwen to put threat onto their backline, so at the very least you're able to exchange backlines, but that wasn't the case here. And by the time he's able, like, he still assassinated the Gwen or the Jinx, right? The Jinx only did 1200 damage, but still 500 more than the Xayah. And as he brought attention to, like, Faith did a lot of work in that fight, dancing around, diving into the backline. And because, well, Xayah, yes, she's safe, but she only dodges the first. She only dodges the first engage. If you have follow-up engage, well, sucks to be you.
Yeah, he had flash, but you know, not really much of an opportunity to use it there. Faith going to be able to push down this top side. Lazar, man, how many times have we seen this poor man collapse on? He is going to use his shockwave, but he's always forced onto one target because of how slippery these two assassins are. Taco claims another on the death mark.
Yeah. I know during the pre-show, or at least during rehearsal, we were kind of talking about, hey, Orianna, pretty good right now.
It depends on the player, I guess. Quiet, well, he's out. It's, you know, every time I see a Tryndamere getting low, I'm just like, you know, I shouldn't really get excited. And then the Tryndamere dies, and I'm like, oh, I should have gotten excited. Right
Forgot
now,
to press R, darn it.
Yeah. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's such a simple thing. But you know, you can forget these things. You did.
And we got a win from SEM9. They steal away the blue buff at no cost. Now they can collapse on mid. Blaze!
Oh, Blaze just dodges out of the Onslaught of Shadows, but will he be able to collapse on him instead? They're looking for... Oh, they do not actually have the ultimate from Orianna. Oh. Lazar doesn't have the cooldown. That could have made all the difference. As the rocket does come back just to dissuade them, they're pushed away without getting the kill. But they do burn everything from Blaze.
Yeah, and now they still have the shockwave for this dragon fight. That's going to be really important. Lazar, he has to hit a multi-man shockwave in this fight. Otherwise, it could just be game over.
And Impunity know it right now. They are going to back away. Look for the collapse on the dragon. They may actually see this one, but here comes Faith around the side and Quiet as well. Shiramine trying to cut them off, and this is going to be close right now. The health bars, Philly already talking low. They're going to back off from this one. They have seen this film before, but unfortunately for them, it does mean Impunity get the Cloud Dragon.
And there's just no coverage on the sides. This time around, at the very least, they have a minion wave coming in from mid, so they do see where Quiet is coming from, but they don't have vision on where Faith is. And it's just really difficult to play these fights out if you are that backline. And now Shiro, immune?
Not anymore.
Immune enough.
You can't be immune to 3 people diving on you, unfortunately. Even Gwen's not that good, but it will stop the tower from being taken. Oy vey, though, Nightstar. This is getting out of hand. 20 minutes Impunity open up quite a lead here of about 4,500. Faith will try to make that more on this mid-tier one. And as Baron has hit the Rift, I don't think it's a take, but there's a lot of damage on this Impunity side. They can certainly threaten sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they certainly have a lot of damage, right? You have Tryndamere, you have Zed, you have the Jinx as well. The only issue is you don't necessarily have a great tank. So if SEM9 do show up in a timely fashion, especially at 20 minutes, you're going to take a lot of damage from that Baron. And that might be what SEM9 need in order to find that Hail Mary team fight to get back into the game. So I think Impunity will kind of play a little bit safe here. And for SEM9, they're really hoping that Impunity do go for one of these Baron plays prematurely because, again, you still have this Orion Shockwave. You have the Wombo coming in from Shockwave and Hecarim and Gwen. Especially when you're trapped in the back of the pit like that, Gwen can find a lot of value. But once more, we do see a very safe build coming in from Lazar, going for the cooldown boots along with the Luden's Echo. I feel like you should just synchronize your two items. Either you go Sork Boots and Luden's, or you go cooldown and...
Oh boy.
Okay, that's...
Seen that one before. They set that up for so long, but...
Yeah,
man,
Shiro...
This is the problem. Shiro can't side lane safely because Gwen is only immune as long as people are trying to hit her from far away.
Yep. They have plenty of people that can just kind of dip in and out of her mist, which means that they are able to deal damage to her. And now Impunity pushing down in this bottom side, which means SEM9, they're forced to go for a recall here. And this is a little bit of a rough spot because they do need to allocate someone to take care of this bottom wave constantly. But if they, you know, leave just one member and they get kind of double dove by, okay, they're
gonna dive.
Going for the engage.
Okay, they do find Blaze here. This is massive right now. I believe they can delete him with the exhaust. Yes, they can. One hit would do it. They manage it. Meanwhile, the Shockwave pulls back in. Faith here. They're going to open up the Feather Shot. That's enough to do it. That's two massive kills, but Quiet is going to try and get revenge. Rooted down forever, but he flashes and dashes and spins the sword. SEM9 trying to hang on, but Pinway is trying to get some extra kills. It was a knockdown, drag-out fight, Nightstar. And as the dust settles, it's 3 for 3. Holy moly.
It's actually 3 for 2 because there's 3 remaining from the side of SEM9. That's a massive win as they finally find a team fight for themselves. And
they're going to get tower.
Find Taco as well if they're... I don't...
They got this. They got this. They got the objective bounty. This is big.
Yeah, that is big. But Felia is the one to cash in on the bounty, unfortunately, as we get to see the replay. And this is what makes it fun as an AD carry play sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
When they just run at you, you only have one dash. It's not like you're running Flash Ghost yourself. And this time, because Quiet's not there at the start of this fight, it makes it a lot easier for the backline to play. And so credit goes to SEM9, still searching for plays and being able to get the pick.
Absolutely.
71 damage. Woo! That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Blaze spent most of that fight running away. And unfortunately, when Hecarim wants to chase you, you're not getting away. You got to flash a wall and hope the rest of your team covers. But that was a great setup, a great execution. And I think the only reason it wasn't a more like
dominating fight,
dominating fight was because Quiet comes in and cleans up, and because you can't really stop him. I mean, Clanks did everything he needed to, but it's Tryndamere, and now this is going to be Soul. They have to make the play here. It's already down to half health. They actually have managed to catch Pinway, but that's a lot expended just on the support. Clanks does take him down. Do they have enough? They need to get that smite off in the time. They do not get it. That Soul going over, and Quiet is running amok here, but he's going to run out of ultimate soon enough. There it goes. Never mind. Taco is going to get shut down. That's huge for Clanks right now. They can take the fight. Shiro cutting him down to size. Massive win here for SEM9!
Shiro lives! Gwen is immune and also heals so damn much. Conqueror along with Riftmaker. In fact, going for the Randuin's Omen, getting that extra defensive stats, bailing her out in that instance. Quiet wants to take this tower, but unfortunately unable to. And unfortunately for SEM9 as well, they aren't able to turn onto the Baron because of the low health bar onto the Hecarim, but we get to see it a replay. Quiet starts out the Baron, and Faith this time around not able to get on the flank fast enough as SEM9, they immediately turn for the fight. This is what we needed. Don't take things too slow. Allow those flanks to develop. Instead, just go straight in right away. Unfortunately, they don't get the soul, which is so important because of the extra move speed garnered over to Impunity. That will help them out quite a bit later. But Blaze being stuck in the back of the pit is every 80 carries nightmare against Gwen.
Yeah, and look at the Gwen damage starting to come out here. This is where SEM9 are coming into their power. They do lose out on Soul, and they don't get the Baron, but they prove they can win a fight, and really, they just had the jump on Impunity for the second time now. You called it. Faith just was not there in time to make a difference. Pinway might have been tanky, but they shredded through him. And then just a great job of stiff-arming Taco and Quiet away from Klax, who was playing out of his mind this game. This is a very different SEM9, and I think they really did do their homework when it came to facing off against Impunity.
Yeah, and I mean, Klax, he's 2-4-3, so the stat line is not pretty. But when you get to watch the game, and the fact that this is a very hard composition to play into, man, he's really putting on the moves as hard as he can to make things possible for SEM9 to play these team fights. Shiromine, if he goes a little bit too far, could get dogged down here. Has Faith chasing as well.
Yeah, this time, though, he knows what's up. I don't know if he's going to live through this one. Very, very tanky Gwen build.
He heals a lot.
So much heal. I mean, Quiet he's going to delete him at the second. Yeah, there's really nothing you can do about this Tryndamere. He's like an 80s horror slasher, right? He just keeps chasing you down until he kills you. But let's see if SEM9 can make a play here as they're both back in the brush waiting to teleport. It's actually going to channel back onto base because the push didn't stop. No. Oh, dear. Things have gone a little sideways as Caspiel gets deleted. The teleport comes back up. This has got to be a Baron play here for Impunity.
Yeah, that's going to be a free Baron, in fact, because they did lose their jungler, and of course they lost their big carry in Shiromine.
They're going to try and make Pinway at least pay for this one, or at least peel them off. No, that's going to be the knockup. They have some damage here. They're trying to threaten, and there's no more threat on their own base, but, man, you're not going to outsmite Taco on this one. Maybe they can take the fight.
Shockwave.
Shockwave isn't going to happen, and they're going to go for the Featherstorm pullback, but it's just not enough. A desperation play ends in disaster for SEM9 as Impunity cleanly pick up the Baron and cleanly pick up 4 kills, or 3, I should say, as Caspiel still had to come off cooldown.
SEM9, they try and essentially go for the Hail Mary in that instance. Make sure they stop the Baron, but unfortunately, Baron still goes down and they all die. So it's really gone from bad to worse. Now, Quiet has a Baron buff to play around with. So this game has pretty much come to a close. It was pretty well contested, I would say, coming in from SEM9. They show signs of life at the very least, but now against this Baron buff, it's so difficult to imagine them being able to find those fights, because now these waves will just constantly be pushed in. If they want to try and force a fight, if Impunity are able to disengage, they can just continue to play these map movements.
Here was the play once again. You saw the idea was to bring Lazar in, go for the Hail Mary Shockwave, see what you can do. But it's a risky proposition, right? Because you've only got Philia and Klax to do it. Philia tries to go in, he gets stopped for ages, and he just gets blown up before he gets the chance. Shiromine, he's up a little bit too late to do much about it, and the Baron.
Yeah. That's probably the dagger right there, Pyra.
Yeah, ironically, he kind of bought a dagger after that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this feels a little bit rough. I mean, SEM9 were able to contest for a long time. Impunity, they have played this out pretty smart. A couple of mistakes in the team fights, and really just not anticipating the speed of the engage that SEM9 had brought out. But overall, just looking like the better squad on the day, and even though Blaze has been shut out of a number of these fights. The issue is Taco, Faith, and Quiet have not, and they do a lot of damage to single targets. Meanwhile, Quiet just doesn't care about this SEM9 team. He's perfectly fine to just keep running back in. Shockwave or not, doesn't matter. He's got Undying Rage, and unfortunately for SEM9, they are not undying at all. Gwen might be immune, but I don't know how long that Nexus is going to last, as this is going all over the place. That's going to be the Onslaught of Shadows. Don't know if it matters here. Clayx is going to try and outplay Quiet. Nothing doing. Caspiel is going to get deleted by his former team, and 30 minutes on the clock is all it took. Impunity will crack open the base and claim their second victory on the split.